closed doors, or even behind iron walls, to feel the need to be set free. You want to liberate your mind, controlling secrets, yet you will find the need to be set free. And the Lord says, captives be free, just come to me. I'll break those chains that hold you down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Heroes of Hope. We're so excited to be able to come and give you this special presentation of what we're doing today. But we just want to emphasize this show has always been created to be able to bring in testimonies, organizations, and also churches that actually are hosting different programs that are going on within their church to address the drug epidemic here in Staten Island. And so we're real excited about working together to make a difference in the lives of people in every which way we can in partnership. And that's why we call it Heroes of Hope, Tackling Substance Abuse Together, because there's a collaboration that is tremendous that's going on throughout Staten Island that we're really excited about. But today, I have something that I want to present to you, and there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions in reference to the programs that we run at Heroes of Hope through the Celebrate Hope Recovery Center and many other locations. And so I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown so that everybody can get a better understanding of what we do. We don't have just groups where people just show up and there's no curriculum involved or anything like that, and there's a little program and things to that effect. We literally have a curriculum that we use, and I'm real excited about it because it's not only the topics that we can talk about in our sessions, but it's also the assignments and things that people can take home with them and work on and be able to develop a deeper understanding of what they're dealing with when it comes to any kind of addiction or other issues. This curriculum is called Celebrate Recovery, and Celebrate Recovery has been created at Saddleback Church, and it's by Rick Warren and John Baker, and it's a tremendous curriculum that has been put together many, many years ago, over 25 years ago. And we're real excited about it because it literally brings change to people's lives in reference to applying the principles and also the steps. And we all know that the 12-step group, when it first started with the Oxford group and things like that, the history goes back that there was a main element of it, and it was the Lord. It was in reference to having faith and God involved, Scripture involved with the 12 steps. You know, over the years, many things have changed, and you know, some people feel the need to adapt to certain new things and things like that. I'm not here to talk about that, but what I am here to talk about is that this curriculum puts God back in the center of the 12 steps. It puts God back, faith back into the center of different principles and the way we're able to approach our recovery and develop a greater faith, a greater hope, a greater relationship, deeper moral understanding of the way we should live, and then also a greater sense of conviction to help us to be able to deal with the hard times within our lives. This curriculum, like I said, was created by Rick Warren and John Baker, and John Baker literally brought this to Rick Warren, Pastor Rick Warren, and they were able to turn around and come into a collaboration between the two of them because John Baker was very deep in the 12 steps, and he felt that there was something missing. And so he created his own curriculum and then brought it to Pastor Rick Warren, and they went over it, and then Pastor Rick Warren took it to a whole nother level in reference to the spiritual side of it. And so together, I guess if you want to put it in a humorous way, they both brought something together, they threw it in the pot, and they cooked up this awesome meal, and this is how Celebrate Recovery curriculum has been brought out. Now, we call our group Celebrate Renewal and Recovery. The reason why that is the way it is because there's a certain system and a certain pattern and a way to do the curriculum that Celebrate Recovery desires for it to be done. And so what happens is there's many organizations throughout the United States and in Canada that are able to use their curriculum but kind of deviate or adjust in the way that works for them. And by doing that, you can no longer call yourself Celebrate Recovery or be a part of their organization, but you're able to use the curriculum and have your own name. So many people have different names for the groups they run, but they use the curriculum of Celebrate Recovery. So in no way are we trying to claim anything or try to make it seem like we've created anything outside of bringing people together. The curriculum 100% is Celebrate Recovery. We just happen to call our group Celebrate Renewal and Recovery for that reason of respect for their organization. And so today what I want to do is give you a better understanding of what is the curriculum. And these books right here are the 4 books that have the different topics and different things that we are able to speak about. And what happens is for instance, we have the table of context, and as you turn to the table of context, you'll notice that the first lesson that's there is called denial. All right, denial. Now that's not the river in Egypt. All right, the Nile. It's denial, meaning that you're hiding and you're trying to keep things in secret. And the real exciting thing about dealing with the word denial is the way they break this down. It's very, very powerful. And let me just backtrack a minute. This first book is called Stepping Out of Denial and Into God's Grace. All right? And so this first book deals with a bunch of topics that we deal with all the time in a sense with 12-step, regular traditional 12-step, like for instance, denial, powerless, hope, sanity, turn, and action. These are 4 specific words that are designed to give us a deeper understanding of a principle and a step. And so what happens is I'm going to turn to denial so that we can actually see something here. And I'm hoping that we can get this on screen. And this is here. And I'm sure our editor is going to maybe have a little insert on screen and have something pretty for you. So, but if you'll notice there, it says Principle 1. These principles are written, there's 8 principles that are written in collaboration with the 12 steps. These principles were designed by Rick Warren and John Baker, and they were attached to a portion of Scripture, and the portion of Scripture are the Beatitudes of Christ. Many of you would know it as the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus Christ spoke about the Beatitudes. And on the first Beatitude, it said, "Happy are those who know they are spiritually poor." And we use that concept or that scripture to bring out a concept in reference to the first principle. Realize I am not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendencies, to do the wrong thing, and that my life is unmanageable. This is a principle that we're able to talk about, okay? Now, the scripture goes in line with the principle, and then we have the step. The step is in line with the way we've done steps for over 100 years. And step 1, we admitted we are powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, and that our lives have become unmanageable. So you see there's a very reflective comparison in reference to the principle and the step. They go together. And it takes us a little deeper into the topic that we're about to talk about. Now, this is just the first lesson in reference to denial, but the way they break it down in reference to denial is that it's an acronym. So the word denial, D-E-N-I-A-L, is an acronym. And the first letter would be the letter D. And the letter D would stand for it disables our feelings. It disables our feelings. Denial disables our feelings. By repressing our feelings, we freeze our emotions. Understanding and feeling of our feelings is freedom. Understanding and feeling our feelings is understanding, is freedom. And then you got E, energy lost. I don't know about you, but me personally, when I was in denial about so many addictions and things that I was going through in life, it sucked the life right out of me. Energy lost. And it makes a lot of sense when we go deeper into it. A side effect of denial is anxiety. And then we go into a whole conversation about anxiety. And then the N, it negates growth. You know, scientifically, people have said that when you start getting high on drugs and stuff, our maturity level stays at a very young age. That, you know, some of us can get to the age of 40 and 50, but yet because we've been doing drugs since we're 20 or whatever, it turns out that our maturity level hasn't grown efficiently. And so it negates growth. We are as sick as our secrets, it says here in the book. And then each one of these things have scriptures that are attached to it. All right? And then the next one is I, isolates us from God. It distances us from God. God's light shines on truth. Our denial keeps us in the dark. You see? And then there's a whole other conversation that takes place again. A, alienates us from our relationships. Every one of these things you know to be true in reference to the word denial. When it comes to energy lost, when it comes to negates growth, isolates us from God, alienates us from our relationships. And then the last one is L, lengthens the pain. Denial, when we live there and stay there, it just makes the pain last a lot longer than it needs to. So coming out of denial is literally the beginning of healing. It's the beginning of deliverance. It's the beginning of freedom. And so I want to encourage you to know that the first topic of this book is tremendous just within itself in reference to having just this topic of denial, but yet there's so many other topics that we have within these 4 books that we use. There's 26 lessons that come with all these 4 books. Now, it sounds like I'm selling something, right? I'm not selling nothing, and I'm not going to ask you for nothing. I just want to encourage you to know that the reality about the material that we have and that we use is very, very important, and it's very, you know, it's not that we're hoping and shooting at the air and just hoping something happens. We are strategically doing something and intentionally. Intentionally expecting something to happen in the lives of people. Why? Because there's a plan, there's a vision, there's a focus. And so when we come together, we know exactly where we're going next, and we know exactly the curriculum that we're going to be using on that day. Give me 1 second as I take a little bit of a drink. When you look at the material also, it's not only material that you're able to turn around and go over different topics. Is it good to use it in your own house? Absolutely. We encourage it because at the end of the lesson, there's questions. And for instance, let me read you one of the questions. Sometimes there's 5, 6 questions at the end, and it's good to be able to do that at home. We don't do the questions in reference to writing them out in the group. We use the questions to maybe begin a conversation in reference to people sharing in the group. We use those questions, but the personal touch, the intimacy that comes from the writing is done in your own private home. And it takes you to another level more than just going to a group, because now you're taking the group home with you. And that is so, so important that you're actually working the principles because the principles work. So we're excited about that. Number 2, the second question is, what areas of your life are out of control and unmanageable? And you would begin to answer that question. And you'd be very surprised on the answers that you'd actually put down when you're not around a bunch of people and you're sitting alone and you're pondering the thought, you're kind of examining the question, you're searching your heart, you're doing your own inventory within your own life, and as you're able to do that, your pen starts moving and you start sharing within yourself by writing down like a little diary issue, and you're able to write down certain things, and when you read back what you wrote, you kind of surprise yourself at times, the things that you were able to examine and see. The third question would be, how do you think taking this first step will help you? And again, the same thing would happen. How do you handle pain and disappointment? How can you begin to address your denial? Now, the reason why some of these questions are so important is because many times we find ourselves into different things in our lives, maybe addiction, and celebrate hope. One of the things that we talk about is that it's not just about addiction; it's about hurts, habits, and hangups, issues in life that we're able to work through. After the addiction is pretty much in a place of sobriety, there's still some hurts and hangups that still need to be dealt with, and people that are not even on drugs that are still dealing with some hurts and hangups like codependency and things like that. So, these topics address all of it, and so we're really, really glad that it does, because it makes it easier for us to be effective and be the best that we can be, not only for ourselves but even for others. Now, when you look at the material within itself, questions that are in the book are probably going to be questions that you wouldn't have thought to ask yourself, and that's why I'm so excited about that, because there's many times that I just didn't have the right question, and I didn't know what I was to ask myself. I knew what the problem was, but I didn't know the right question. And so in reality, the questions that are here opened up Pandora's box and was giving me the opportunity to confront some things that I didn't even know I had. And so it actually brought up certain things that I thought I had control over, but I really didn't. And I kind of found a way to bring what they call a behavior modification. And I learned how to work around it. I learned how to deal with it in everyday life, but it never got dealt with. It never was challenged. It was never confronted. And so that issue's there, just waiting for another episode in life to come my way. And we all know that life just keeps going, and things do happen in life. And we don't want to see the manifestation of some of those other things that we didn't address manifest again one day in our lives because we didn't conquer that. And so this material really, really opens up a lot of chambers of our heart and our past and things like that, and it opens up us into deep discussion. I do want to make mention to you also in reference to some of the material that's here, we do in reference to the program itself. When it comes to the books, this is the curriculum, this is the material, and there's much more that I can share with you about this. But I also want to make mention to you that the way we run the program. When someone walks into the program, let's say Tuesday night at Celebrate Renewal and Recovery at the Celebrate Hope Center at 88 New Dorp Plaza, they would walk in and they'd find a warm atmosphere, of course, coffee, cake, and, beverages, and just, be able to sit down and relax and meet up with people, fellowship a little bit, have some good conversations. Then at 7 o'clock we kick off. And when we get ready to start, we usually start with someone doing a reading of the 12 steps, and they'll read that, and then after they read that, we'll do our serenity prayer. After the serenity prayer, we go into our topic of the day. The topic of the day is usually taught by the leader of the group, and what happens is, or if we bring in a guest speaker, and the leader of the group will talk about that specific topic through the curriculum, and they'll talk for about 20 minutes, all right? Not long at all. They're not to elaborate on everything, but for 20 minutes, they'd focus in on that topic. And then after the 20 minutes is over, in some groups, we have the facility big enough to be able to split the men and the women, and some facilities we don't. So what we do is after the topic is over, we're able to go into a discussion group. So it goes from a large group setting into a share group setting. And then the share group setting is more detailed in reference to the topic that was shared, and then the question that is brought out to lead this conversation into that. Everyone that's in the room has 3 to 5 minutes to be able to share what's on their heart concerning the topic, concerning the question, or if they just have something heavy on their heart that has nothing to do with the lesson, and they just needed to share that. And I want to read to you the 5 group guidelines that we use in the Celebrate Recovery curriculum. And it says, the following 5 guidelines will ensure that your small group is a safe place. They need to be read at the beginning of every meeting. 1, keep your sharing focused on your thoughts and feelings. Limit your sharing to 3 to 5 minutes. There is no crosstalk. Crosstalk is when two individuals engage in conversation, excluding all others. Each person is free to express his or her feelings without interruption. Number three, we are here to support one another, not fix one another. This is not a counseling session. This is not a group where people are going to say, well, this is what you need to do and everything like that. It's a judge-free zone. We accept everybody. It doesn't matter what faith you have or if you have no faith. But we do have a specific curriculum that we speak on in reference to Jesus Christ being our higher power. Now, if you're okay with that, we're more than welcome to be there. Just understand that this is the curriculum that we're there, and we're not there to debate or anything like that. We just want to all be healthy. We all want to find a good place of peace and serenity and be able to be the best that we can be in life, be productive. Number four, anonymity and confidentiality are basic requirements. What is shared in the group stays in the group. The only exception is when someone threatens to injure themselves or others. Number five, offensive language has no place in a Christ-centered recovery group. Now, does that happen sometimes? Absolutely. There's times that people are sharing and certain words are said and certain expressions come out, and we don't condone it, we don't support it, but we don't judge that person either. We want to embrace them, we want to help them, and so if there's a couple of bleeps here and there, we just continue to flow with the group, and we don't look at each other like we're crazy. We're all in it together trying to make it happen, okay? So we just want to let you know that also. When it comes to the group itself, we have groups literally right now. We started one group. When we started this one group, it was at Christian Pentecostal Church, and we started one group, Celebrate Renewal and Recovery, on a Friday night at 7 p.m. And it's still going on Friday night at 7 p.m. Pastor Brenda Bird, she oversees it, and Brother Guy, he's one of the main guys. I mean, Brother Guy, on drugs for many, many years, has been clean for 20-something years now, but for a long stretch of history of addiction and also methadone and different things. And today, for many years now, has been clean 100%, has been serving God, retired from his job and the whole nine. Tremendous testimony, as many others. So I want you to know that we look for complete healing, complete freedom in the person's life through the curriculum. We don't look for just an exchange of one addiction for another and things to that effect, but we do believe that God can set people free, like myself, all right? Also want to make mention to you that there's many other groups that are taking place throughout the week. And right now our goal is to cover 7 days a week, and that's what we want to do. And when we opened up the Celebrate Hope Recovery Center, we were able to add 2 more days. Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and then also Saturday at 4 o'clock. Then we were able to launch out a couple more groups into Mount Sinai Church down on the North Shore on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And then we were able to launch out another one at Calvary Assemblies of God on Thursday at 7:30. And so you're going to see a listing at the end of this show, and I want to encourage you to write down your information. We have other groups that are out there, like on Monday night, Gateway has a Celebrate Recovery, a Gateway Church. Then Movement Church also has a Restore group that they're running. And then, ICC has a 12-step group that they're running, I believe, on Tuesday night. So we are totally excited. Now we get ready to launch out, and we launch out another group just recently into New Jersey. And so we're not taking it very lightly about what we're doing. This curriculum has set a foundation for us to be able to hit this epidemic very hard. So I want to encourage you to look deeper into the material of Celebrate Recovery and know that there are Celebrate Renewal and Recoveries throughout Staten Island that are ready to embrace you. All the leaders that are affiliated with this material know each other, work together, and are supporting one another. So if you were to go from one group to another, from one day to the next, you still get the same material, the same structure, the same outline, and the same thing. So I am so excited to be able to share this with you today, because from my heart to you, we've been working really hard for the last 2 years to be able to establish something that would be tangibly somebody can grab hold of. And I can honestly say hundreds and hundreds of people have passed through our groups within these last 2 years. We've done many events and activities and all these other things, and that's great. But the day-to-day, touching the lives of people day after day after day is where we need to be. And so we're on the front lines right now, Heroes of Hope, Celebrate Hope Recovery Center. We're on the front lines, and we're making a difference. And the way we're making a difference day to day is through the curriculum of Celebrate Recovery, Pastor Rick Warren, and his assistant pastor, John Baker. And then we adopted that. We adapted it to a way that we can work with it, and we call it Celebrate, Renewal, and Recovery. Listen, if you want to ever talk to me, if you ever want to get more information, just come by the center, and we'll be more than happy to sit with you and give you a deeper understanding of what this material is, because we here at Heroes of Hope want to embrace the hurting people of Staten Island. So finally, what I want to share with you is that you need to get a pen and you need to get a piece of paper, because there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be written or put on the screen right now, and it's there for one reason and one reason only, because we care. We want to put all this information in your hands so that you can pass it on to people you know. Together, we can tackle substance abuse together, and it's very, very important. I can't do this by myself. District Attorney can't do it by himself. YMCA, TISO, all these great organizations, we can't do it by ourselves. We've got to work together. So as you watch this episode, I want to encourage you to take advantage of everything that's going on here today and just receive it into your heart. And don't take it as a religious thing. Take it as something that's life transformation within the lives of people. God bless you. Have a great day.